The silver ship appeared in Earth's sky on a Tuesday morning. It was huge, bigger than any building humans had ever made. The ship moved slowly and quietly, like a cloud floating through space. People all over the world stopped what they were doing to look up at the sky. Park Jin-ho stood in the United Nations building in New York. He was Earth's top diplomat, a man who had spent his whole life making peace between countries. Today he would try to make peace with beings from another world. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. "They're sending a message," said Kim Min-ho, the military advisor standing next to him. Kim was a colonel in the Korean army, but today he wore a simple blue suit. No uniforms, no weapons. Earth wanted to look peaceful. The message came through the radio in a voice that sounded like music mixed with wind chimes. "Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Vilthrun Confederation. We come in peace and friendship. We wish to meet with your leaders." Dr. Lee Yuna, the team's scientist, checked her computer. "The translation is perfect," she whispered. "Their technology is incredible." 3 days later, the alien ship landed in a field outside Geneva, Switzerland. The field was surrounded by flowers that the local government had planted just for this moment. No soldiers were visible, though Park Jin-ho knew they were hidden nearby. The ship opened with a sound like singing bells. A ramp came down, and the Adaiti, first alien, stepped onto Earth. Commander Veltara was unlike anything humans had imagined. Her body was made of what looked like living crystal, clear and bright, with colors that moved inside like trapped rainbows. She was tall and thin, and when she moved she seemed to float rather than walk. "Welcome to Earth," Park Jin-ho said, bowing slightly. He had practiced this moment many times. Veltara's voice came from somewhere inside her crystal body. "Thank you, Ambassador Park. Your world is beautiful. We can feel the life energy everywhere." More aliens came down the ramp. Some looked like Veltara, others were different. One looked like a tree made of silver metal. Another seemed to be made of flowing water that somehow held its shape. All of them moved with the same peaceful floating motion. "We represent 12 worlds," Veltara explained as they walked toward the meeting building. "All of us live in harmony. We have no wars, no fighting. When we heard about Earth, we hoped you might be like us." Bae Soman walked behind the group, listening carefully. She was the translator, though the aliens seemed to speak perfect Korean, English, and several other languages. Her job was to watch for misunderstandings. But as she listened, she noticed something strange. The aliens talked about peace, but they asked odd questions. They wanted to know about human sports, about competition, about how humans solve problems. When Kim Min-ho mentioned that he used to be a soldier, Veltara seemed confused. "What is a soldier?" she asked. Kim Min-ho looked uncomfortable. "Someone who protects people," he said simply. "Protects from what?" "From bad people. People who might hurt others." Veltara's crystal body flickered with different colors. "Your people hurt each other?" Park Jin-ho stepped in quickly. "Sometimes there are disagreements, but we're working to solve all problems peacefully. That's why we're so happy to meet you." The meeting room was designed to show Earth's best side. The walls were covered with pictures of beautiful nature, happy children, and peaceful cities. There were no pictures of armies, weapons, or wars. "Tell us about your world," Veltara said as they sat down. Dr. Lee Yuna spoke first. "Earth has many different countries, but we all work together now. We have the United Nations, where all countries talk to solve problems. We've built beautiful cities, we take care of our environment, and we love art and music." She showed the aliens pictures of Seoul's gardens, New York's museums, and children playing in parks around the world. The aliens seemed delighted. "This is wonderful," said another alien who looked like flowing water. "You have learned the way of peace, just like us." "We had some trouble in the past," Park Jin-ho admitted carefully. "But we learned from our mistakes. Now we believe that talking is always better than fighting." This was true in a way. Humans had learned that talking was usually better than fighting. But Park Jin-ho didn't mention that humans still kept armies, still made weapons, and still had plans for what to do if talking failed. The aliens spent a week on Earth. They visited, universities, art museums, and peaceful demonstrations. Everywhere they went, they saw humans being kind to each other, creating beautiful things and working together. They didn't see the military bases hidden underground. They didn't see the weapons that could destroy entire cities. They didn't see the war rooms where generals made plans for every possible threat. Baisoman noticed more strange things during the week. When the aliens watched humans play soccer, they were confused by the competition. When they saw a movie about heroes saving people from villains, they asked why anyone would want to be a villain. They really don't understand, she wrote in her private notes. It's like they've never seen violence or competition. They think everyone naturally wants to be peaceful. On the last day of their visit, Veltara made an announcement that surprised everyone. "Your people are truly peaceful," she said. "We would like to invite some of you to visit our homeworld, Synthesis Prime. You can see how we live, and perhaps we can learn even more from each other." Park Jin-ho smiled, but inside he felt worried. Earth's leaders had hoped for this invitation, but they also feared it. If the aliens discovered the truth about humanity, what would happen? "We would be honored," he said. That night, Park Jin-ho met with Kim Min-ho and Dr. Lee Yuna in a secure room. "They trust us completely," Kim Min-ho said. "It's almost dangerous how trusting they are." "They've never met anyone who wasn't peaceful," Dr. Lee Yuna added. "I don't think they can even imagine violence." Park Jin-ho nodded. "Which means we have to be very careful. If they find out what humans are really capable of, they might become afraid. And afraid aliens with advanced technology could be very dangerous. What do we do?" Kim Min-ho asked. "We continue to show them our best side," Park Jin-ho said. "But we also prepare for the worst, just in case." The next morning, the aliens left Earth with promises of friendship and cooperation. The silver ship rose into the sky and disappeared among the stars. Park Jin-ho watched it go and wondered if he had just made the best decision of his life, or the worst mistake in human history. Back on their ship, Veltara spoke with her crew. "They are exactly what we hope to find," she said. "A peaceful species that has learned to live in harmony." "Should we tell the council?" asked the tree-like alien. "Yes," Veltara said. "I think we may have found our new allies." None of them noticed that their ship's sensors had recorded something strange during their visit. In every human they met, there were signs of something hidden. Brain patterns that showed readiness for violence, stress responses designed for fighting, bodies built for conflict. The sensors recorded it all, but the peaceful aliens didn't understand what they were seeing. To them, it just looked like interesting biological data. They had no idea they had just met the most dangerous species in the galaxy. 6 months after the aliens left Earth, their message arrived. It came through the same singing voice that had first greeted humanity. "People of Earth," Commander Veltara's voice filled the United Nations building. "The Valthran Confederation officially invites you to visit Synthesis Prime, our capital world. We wish to show you how our peaceful society works. Please send your best representatives." Ambassador Choi Dae-ho sat in the meeting room with Earth's top leaders. He was younger than Park Jin-ho, but equally skilled at making peace between different groups. Today, he would lead humanity's most important mission. "This is what we hoped for," said President Wilson, the UN Secretary General. "But it's also very dangerous." "Why dangerous?" asked Young Minji, the anthropologist chosen for the mission. She studied how different cultures lived and worked together. General Carter, the American military leader, answered her. "Because we still don't know what they'll do if they discover the truth about us." Choi Dae-ho looked at his team. Besides Jung Minji, there was Kang Junho, an engineer who understood alien technology. Han Subin would be their security chief, though she would pretend to be just another scientist. "Remember," Choi Dae-ho said, "we are peaceful explorers. We're curious about their culture. We want to learn and share knowledge." "What if they ask difficult questions?" Young Minji asked. "Answer honestly but carefully," Choi Dae-ho replied. "Don't lie, but don't tell them everything either." While the official team prepared, other people worked in secret. General Otajan sat in a room deep underground surrounded by computer screens and maps. "Project Safeguard is ready," he told the people around the table. These were the world's top military leaders, scientists, and intelligence experts. Dr. Shin Wubin, a physicist, showed them pictures from the alien visit. Their technology is at least 200 years ahead of ours. Their ships can travel between stars in days, not years. Their energy sources are completely clean. What about weapons? Asked Admiral Park Yunbi. That's the interesting part, Dr. Shin said. We found no evidence of any weapons. Their ship had no guns, no missiles, no defensive systems that we could identify. That seems impossible, General O said. How do they protect themselves? Maybe they don't need to, Dr. Shin replied. Maybe they really have no enemies. Admiral Park looked worried. Or maybe their weapons are so advanced we can't recognize them. General O nodded. That's why we're preparing everything. If this goes wrong, Earth needs to be ready. In another room, scientists worked on understanding alien technology. They had small pieces that the aliens had left behind as gifts. The technology was amazing, but also confusing. It's like they've never heard of military use, said Dr. Kim, looking at an alien energy device. This could power a city, but it could also be turned into a weapon. They didn't even think to hide that fact. 3 weeks later, the alien ship returned to Earth. This time it was different, smaller, more elegant, designed for traveling between stars. The ship was called Peaceful Current, and it was the most beautiful thing the humans had ever seen. It looked like it was made of liquid, silver and light. When it moved, it left trails of soft colors in space. Choi Daeho and his team went aboard with simple luggage and peaceful smiles. The inside of the ship was like being inside a living garden. Plants grew on the walls, water flowed in streams through the air, and soft music played everywhere. Welcome aboard, said Yoon Hyejin, their host. She looked like Veltara, but smaller and brighter. Her crystal body sparkled with happy colors. I will be your guide and teacher during the journey. Journey to Synthesis Prime would take 12 days. The ship traveled faster than light, but the aliens made it comfortable for human bodies. On the first day, Yoon Hyejin showed them around the ship. This is how all our ships are built, she said. Everything is designed for peace and comfort. We want everyone to feel happy and safe. Kang Junho studied the ship systems. How do you handle emergencies, he asked. What kind of emergencies? Yoon Hyejin seemed confused. Like, if someone tried to attack the ship? Yoon Hyejin's colors turned puzzled shades of blue and green. Why would anyone attack a ship? That doesn't make sense. Han Subin stepped in carefully. On Earth, sometimes, bad people try to steal things or hurt others, so we have to be prepared. Oh, Yoon Hyejin said, her colors turning sad. Your people still have some individuals who haven't learned to be peaceful. Don't worry, that will change as you evolve. The humans looked at each other. The aliens thought human violence was just a phase that would pass. Over the next few days, Yoon Hyejin told them about Violthran society. The aliens had no armies, no police, no prisons. When someone did something wrong, the community would sit with them and talk until they understood why their actions were harmful. We used to have conflicts long ago, Yoon Hyejin explained on the 4th day. But we learned that violence never solves anything. It only creates more problems. How did you learn that? Young Minji asked. Through science and evolution, Yoon Hyejin said proudly. We studied ourselves for thousands of years. We learned to remove aggressive thoughts from our minds. We changed our bodies so we couldn't hurt each other even if we wanted to. You changed your own evolution? Dr. Choi was amazed. Yes, we made ourselves better. Now violence is impossible for us. We can't even think violent thoughts. Our brains won't let us. That night the humans met in private in their quarters. They've made themselves completely peaceful, Young Minji whispered. They can't fight even if they need to. That explains why they have no weapons, Han Subin said. They literally can't use them. But what about other species? Kang Junho asked. What if they meet someone dangerous? I don't think they've ever met anyone dangerous, Choi Daeho said quietly. All 12 species in their confederation are peaceful. They think the whole universe is like them. And now they think we're like them too, Han Subin added. On the 8th day, they saw other alien worlds through the ship's windows. Each world was like a perfect garden. Cities that looked like flowers, technology that helped nature instead of replacing it, and millions of beings living in complete harmony. "It's beautiful," Young Minji said, and she meant it. "It's also terrifying," Han Subin whispered. "They have no defenses at all. Any aggressive species could conquer all 12 worlds in a few weeks. Maybe that's why they're so trusting," Choi Daeho said. "They've never needed to be suspicious." On the 10th day, Yoon Hye-jin asked them about human society. "You said you have armies on Earth," she said. "What do armies do when there's no one to fight?" The humans had prepared for this question. "They help with disasters," Choi Daeho said, "like floods or earthquakes. They also explore new places and help build things." This was true, but it wasn't the whole truth. Armies also practiced fighting, developed new weapons, and prepared for wars that might never come. "That's wonderful," Yoon Hye-jin said. "Using fighting skills to help people instead of hurting them. You humans are very wise." On the 12th day, they saw Synthesis Prime. It was the most beautiful world any human had ever imagined. The entire planet looked like a work of art, with cities that flowed like rivers and forests that sparkled with captured starlight. "Welcome to our home," Yoon Hye-jin said as they landed. "Here you will see how 12 species live together in perfect peace." As they walked down the ship's ramp, Choi Daeho felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. These beings trusted humans completely. They were about to show them all their secrets, all their technology, all their weaknesses. If humans were truly peaceful, this would be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. If humans were still the predators they had always been, this could be the beginning of the end for the Valthron Confederation. The worst part was that even Choi Daeho wasn't sure which one humans really were. Synthesis Prime was like walking through a dream. The buildings grew from the ground like crystal trees, and streams of clean water flowed through the air between them. Millions of different alien beings moved peacefully through the city, all of them happy and calm. Choi Daeho and his team had been on the planet for 3 days. They had visited schools where alien children learned about art and music. They had seen factories that made beautiful things without any pollution. They had watched the Valthran Council make decisions by talking until everyone agreed. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. "It's like they've never had a single bad day," Young Minji whispered to Han Subin as they walked through a market where no one argued about prices. "That's because they haven't," Han Subin replied quietly. "Look at them. They don't even understand what competition means." On the 4th day, the aliens organized a cultural exchange. The humans would show the aliens some Earth activities, and the aliens would share their games and sports. The event took place in a beautiful park filled with thousands of aliens from all 12 species. Some looked like living crystals, others like flowing water or growing plants. All of them watched with curious, peaceful eyes. "We will demonstrate a human sport called soccer," Choi Daeho announced. The aliens had built a perfect field with soft grass and gentle goals. Jung Minji and Kang Junho played against Han Subin and their interpreter Park Hyunwoo, who had joined them on the planet. It was meant to be a fun, friendly game, but humans can't help being competitive. Even when they try to be gentle, they still play to win. Jung Minji kicked the ball hard toward the goal. Han Subin dove to block it. They collided, and Han Subin rolled on the ground holding her knee. The sound that came from the watching aliens was unlike anything the humans had ever heard. It was like thousands of wind chimes breaking at once, mixed with the sound of crying. A small alien child, Liren, had been standing close to the field. She looked like a young version of Yoon Hye-jin, all bright crystal and innocent light. When she saw Han Subin fall, she ran onto the field to help. But Liren was not used to running on rough ground. She tripped and fell, scraping her crystal skin on a small rock. A tiny crack appeared on her arm, and a drop of liquid light leaked out. What happened next changed everything. Nam Ji-won, the team's medical officer, moved faster than any of the aliens thought possible. In 3 seconds, she was kneeling beside Liren, her medical kit already open. The aliens watched in shock as Nam Ji-won transformed. The smiling, gentle human woman disappeared. In her place was something cold and efficient. Her eyes became focused and hard. Her hands moved with quick, precise movements. "Hold still," Nam Jiwan told Liren in a voice that expected to be obeyed. She examined the injury, pressing on areas that made the child whimper. She cleaned the wound with something that obviously hurt. She sealed the crack with a bandage that stuck tight to the crystal skin. The aliens were frozen. They had never seen anything like this. Nam Jiwan checked Liren's pulse, looked into her eyes with a bright light, and asked questions in a sharp, quick voice. "Does this hurt? Can you move your fingers? Do you feel dizzy?" When she was finished, Nam Jiwan stood up and spoke to the alien adults. "She'll be fine. The injury is minor. Keep the bandage on for 2 days. Watch for any changes in the crack pattern." Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the cold efficiency disappeared. Nam Jiwan smiled and spoke gently to Liren. "You're very brave. You'll be all better soon." But the damage was done. Every alien in the park had seen the transformation. They had watched a human switch from gentle friend to cold professional in seconds. That evening, Commander Veltara came to speak with the humans. Her crystal body was flickering with confused colors. "We need to understand what we saw today," she said. "Your team member, Nam Jiwan, she became different." Ko Sung-min, the team's psychologist, had been expecting this question. She was doing her job. When humans see someone hurt, we have trained responses. We can set aside our emotions to help people. Set aside emotions? Veltara's colors turned darker. "How is that possible?" "Humans learn to control their feelings when necessary," Ko Sung-min explained. "It helps us work better in emergencies." But Veltara wanted to know more. Over the next hour, she asked question after question. How could humans ignore their own feelings? Why were they so good at causing necessary pain to provide help? How could Nam Jiwan hurt Liren to make her better? "We don't understand," said another alien, one who looked like flowing water. "Pain is always bad. Hurting others is impossible for us. How can your people choose to cause pain?" Ko Sung-min tried to explain, but his words only made the aliens more confused and frightened. The next day, Lim Jamin made everything worse. Lim Jamin was a military historian. His job was to study how humans had fought wars in the past, so they could avoid making the same mistakes. The aliens asked him to explain human history. He started carefully. "Long ago, humans lived in small groups. We had to compete for food and safe places to live." "Compete?" asked an alien who looked like a metal tree. "Why not share?" "There wasn't enough for everyone," Lim Jamin said. "So humans had to choose, fight for resources, or die." The aliens' colors began to change. They were becoming upset. "But surely you found peaceful solutions," Veltara said hopefully. Lim Jamin looked at Choi Dae-ho, who nodded sadly. They couldn't lie. "Sometimes," Lim Jamin said. "But often humans had to fight. We fought wild animals that wanted to eat us. We fought other groups of humans who wanted our food and territory. We fought diseases, natural disasters, and starvation." "You fought your own species?" The water alien's voice was horrified. "Yes," Lim Jamin admitted. "For thousands of years. We fought with sticks, then metal weapons, then guns, then bombs that could destroy entire cities. The silence that followed was terrible." "How many of your people died in these fights?" Veltara asked. Lim Jamin closed his eyes. "Millions. Hundreds of millions. In our last great war, over 50 million humans died in 6 years. The aliens made that breaking wind chime sound again, but louder and more painful. But that was long ago," Choi Dae-ho said quickly. "We learned from our mistakes. Now we solve problems peacefully." "Do you still know how to fight?" asked the metal tree, alien. The humans looked at each other. They had hoped this question would never come. "Yes," Choi Dae-ho said quietly. "We remember how." "Could you fight now, if you had to?" Another pause. Another exchange of looks. "Yes," Han Subin said. If someone was trying to hurt innocent people, humans could still fight. That night, the aliens held an emergency meeting. The humans were not invited, but they could hear the sound of thousands of wind chimes discussing something urgent. Ko Sung-min sat with his team in their quarters. "They're starting to understand," he said. "Understand?" "What?" Young-min-ji asked. "That we're not like them," Ko Seung-min said. "They evolved to be peaceful. We evolved to survive. Those are very different things." "What's the difference?" Kang Junho asked. Han Subin answered. "They became peaceful by removing their ability to be violent. We became peaceful by choosing not to use our ability to be violent. And now they know we still have that ability," Choi Dae-ho said. Through the walls, they could hear the alien discussion growing louder and more frantic. "They're scared," Nam Ji-won said. "They're realizing that humans are not naturally peaceful. We're naturally dangerous and we choose to be peaceful most of the time." "Most of the time," Young Min-ji repeated. "That's what terrifies them." Ko Sung-min nodded. "They can't imagine choosing to be violent. To them, we're like bombs that could go off at any moment. Are we?" Kang Junho asked. The question hung in the air. Outside, the sound of frightened aliens continued through the night. "I don't know," Choi Dae-ho admitted. "I honestly don't know what humans would do if we felt truly threatened." But deep down he suspected he did know, and that knowledge kept him awake until morning. The morning came with silence. No wind chimes singing, no gentle music floating through the air. The beautiful city of Synthesis Prime felt cold and empty. Choi Dae-ho and his team sat in their guest quarters waiting. They had not been invited to breakfast. No aliens had come to visit them. Even Yoon Hyejin, their friendly guide, had disappeared. "They're afraid of us," Jung Min-ji said quietly. "Can you blame them?" Han Subin replied. "We just told them that humans are basically trained killers who choose to be nice." A soft chime sounded at their door. Commander Veltara entered, but she was different now. Her crystal body was darker, more guarded. Behind her came 5 other aliens, all of them looking nervous. "We need to talk," Veltara said. Her voice was still musical, but it had lost its warmth. "Of course," Choi Dae-ho stood up. "We're ready to answer any questions." "We have been discussing your species all night," Veltara said. "We have reached some troubling conclusions." The aliens sat down across from the humans, but they kept their distance. It was the first time the humans had seen aliens act afraid. "We understand now that humans are not naturally peaceful," Veltara continued. "You are naturally violent, but you choose to control that violence. Is this correct?" "Yes," Choi Dae-ho said simply. There was no point in lying anymore. "This means you could choose to stop controlling it." "Theoretically, yes." Veltara's colors shifted to dark blues and purples. "We need to understand when humans make that choice. When do you decide to become violent?" Ryu Sung-ho, the team's security expert, had been quiet until now. He was a former Special Forces soldier, trained to spot danger and react quickly. He recognized what was happening. "You're testing us," he said calmly. Veltara's colors flickered. "We need to know what we're dealing with." "Then ask directly," Ryu Sung-ho said. "Don't play games." "Very well." Veltara stood up. "We have prepared a simulation, a test scenario. We want to see how humans behave when forced to make difficult choices." The aliens led them to a large room filled with advanced technology. Screens covered the walls, showing what looked like a disaster in progress. Alien cities were on fire. People were running and screaming, and strange dark ships filled the sky. "This is a scenario we designed," Veltara explained. "Imagine that our worlds are being attacked by an unknown enemy. You are here with us. You have the chance to save some people, but not everyone." The simulation began. On the screens, they could see 2 groups in danger. One group was human, Choi Dae-ho's team members from Earth. The other group was alien children, including little Liren. "You have 1 rescue ship," Veltara said. "You can save only 1 group. Choose." The humans looked at each other. Ryu Sung-ho smiled grimly. "This is a loyalty test. They want to see if we'll abandon them to save our own people." "Choose now," Veltara said. "Time is running out." Save the children, Choi Dae-ho said without hesitation. The aliens made surprised sounds. Their colors shifted to confused yellows and greens. Why? Veltara asked. Because they're children, young Minji said. Children always come first. Even alien children? Even when your own people will die? Yes, Han Subin said firmly. That's what decent people do. But Veltara wasn't finished. The simulation changed. Now there were more choices. Save 100 aliens or 10 humans? Save a peaceful alien city or a human military base? Each time the humans chose to save the most innocent people, regardless of species. The aliens watched with growing confusion. We don't understand, Veltara said finally. You are willing to sacrifice your own people? To save innocent lives? Yes, Choi Dae-ho said. But this makes no sense from a survival perspective, another alien said. Why would you choose to let your own species die? Moon Yojin, the team's biologist, tried to explain. Humans protect the innocent. It doesn't matter what species they are. We've learned that protecting others makes everyone safer in the long run. But what if the choice was different? Veltara asked. What if you had to choose between us and your entire world? The room went quiet. This was the real question. That's not a fair question, Ryu Seung-ho said. Why not? Because you're asking us to choose between friends and family. No one should have to make that choice. But if you had to, the humans looked at each other. Finally, Han Subin answered. We would try to find a third option. We would look for a way to save everyone. And if there was no third option? Another long pause. Then we would save our own world, Choi Dae-ho admitted. And we would hate ourselves for it for the rest of our lives. The aliens' colors turned dark and frightened. So you admit it, Veltara said. When forced to choose, humans will kill to protect their own. Yes, Ryu Seung-ho said. Just like any parent will kill to protect their children. Just like any person will fight back when someone tries to murder their family. But we cannot kill, Veltara said. We cannot even think about killing. We evolved beyond that. Then you evolved beyond survival, Ryu Seung-ho said bluntly. What happens when you meet someone who wants to hurt you? We have never met such beings, Veltara replied. Then you've been lucky, Moon Yojin said. But luck doesn't last forever. The simulation changed again. This time it showed something that made all the aliens cry out in fear. On the screen was Earth. But this Earth was different. Human cities were built like fortresses. Human ships moved through space in perfect military formations. Human soldiers marched in perfect lines, carrying weapons the aliens had never imagined. This is what we found in your computer systems, Veltara said, her voice shaking. This is what your people are really like. The human stared at the screen. It showed Earth's secret military preparations, Project Safeguard in full operation. Thousands of warships being built in hidden factories, weapons that could destroy entire worlds, battle plans for fighting alien invasions. You lied to us, Veltara accused. You pretended to be peaceful while preparing for war. We hoped we would never need any of that, Choi Dae-ho said quietly. But we had to be ready. Ready for what? Ready for you to be hostile, Han Subin said. Ready for you to see us as a threat and try to destroy us first. Captain Kwon Min-seok, who had been quietly observing everything, finally spoke up. He was a military strategist and expert in warfare. You want to know the truth about humans, he said. Here it is. He stood up and walked to the screen showing Earth's military might. Humans don't just fight to survive. We fight to win. When we decide something is a threat, we don't just defend against it. We study it, we learn its weaknesses, and we destroy it completely. The aliens made that breaking wind chime sound again. We call it overwhelming force, Kwon Min-seok continued. If we have to fight, we don't fight fair. We fight to make sure the threat never comes back. You would destroy entire species? Veltara whispered. If that species was trying to destroy us? Yes, Kwon Min-seok said. We would hunt down every ship, every base, every world that supported them. We would make sure that no one would ever think about threatening humanity again. But that's genocide, an alien cried. That's survival, Kwon Min-seok replied coldly. That's how humans became the dominant species on Earth. We don't just survive threats, we eliminate them. The room fell into terrible silence. Now you know, Choi Dae-ho said finally. This is what humans are really like. We can be the kindest, most gentle beings in the universe. We can sacrifice ourselves for strangers, protect the innocent, and create beautiful things. He paused, looking directly at Veltara. But if you threaten us, if you try to hurt our families or destroy our world, we become something else entirely. We become your worst nightmare. Veltara's crystal body was now almost black with fear. What are you going to do with this knowledge? She asked. That depends, Choi Dae-ho said. On what? On what you do with it. The aliens looked at each other with terrified colors. Outside, alarms began to sound across the city. The Vilethran Council was calling an emergency meeting. The test was over. Now came the real decision. The emergency council meeting lasted 3 days. During that time, the humans stayed in their quarters under guard. The guards were polite but firm. The humans were not prisoners, but they were not free to leave either. Choi Dae-ho stared out the window at the beautiful city below. Millions of peaceful aliens went about their daily lives, unaware that their leaders were deciding the fate of 2 species. What do you think they'll choose? Young Minji asked. I don't know, Choi Dae-ho replied. Fear makes people do strange things, even peaceful people. On the 3rd day, Commander Veltara came to see them. She was not alone. Behind her walked an ancient alien unlike any they had seen before. This being looked like living starlight, wrapped in crystal robes. This is Elder Thaisara, Veltara said. She is the oldest and wisest among us. She has lived for 3,000 years. Elder Thaisara's voice was like distant music, soft but powerful. I have come to speak with you before we make our final decision. What decision? Han Subin asked. Whether to trust you, or whether to protect ourselves from you, Elder Thaisara said simply. The ancient alien sat down across from them. Her light pulsed slowly, hypnotically. In 3,000 years, I have never met a species like yours, she said. Every race we have encountered chose peace naturally. You are the first to choose peace deliberately. Is that bad? Young Minji asked. I don't know, Elder Thaisara admitted. That is what we must decide. She leaned forward, her starlight growing brighter. Some of our council members want to cut all contact with humanity. They want to hide from you and hope you never find us again. And others? Choi Dae-ho asked. Others want to strike first. They believe you are too dangerous to exist. The humans felt cold fear run through them. But you did not come here to threaten us, Elder Thaisara continued. You came here honestly, knowing we might discover your true nature. Why? Choi Dae-ho thought carefully before answering. Because lies always come out eventually, and when they do, they make everything worse. So you chose honesty, even knowing it might destroy you? Yes. Elder Thaisara's light pulsed faster. This is what confuses us. Why would a violent species choose to be honest with potential enemies? Ryu Sung-ho answered. Because we don't want to be enemies. We want to be friends. But you said you would destroy us if we threatened you. We would, Kwon Min-seok said bluntly. But we would much rather protect you. Protect us? From what? The humans looked at each other. They had been wondering when this question would come. From whatever is out there that you haven't met yet, Moon Yojin said. The universe is a big place. You've been lucky to find only peaceful species so far. But somewhere out there are others like us. Maybe worse than us. Elder Thaisara's light dimmed. You think there are other violent species? We think. It's impossible that there aren't, Dr. Baek Ji-young said. She was the team's game theorist, an expert in strategy and probability. The universe is too big and too old for every species to evolve the same way. Explain, Elder Thaisara commanded. Dr. Bayek stood up and walked to the window. Look at your beautiful city. No weapons, no defenses, no military. If a species like humanity, but with bad intentions, found you tomorrow, how long would you last? We would try to reason with them, Veltara said. And if they didn't want to reason? If they just wanted to take your worlds and enslave your people? Silence. You would die, Dr. Beck said quietly. All of you. Your entire confederation would fall in weeks. So what are you suggesting? Elder Thaisara asked. That you have a choice, Dr. Beck said. Make us your enemies and we become the most dangerous threat you've ever faced. Make us your true allies and we become your most effective protectors. Elder Thaisara's light pulsed thoughtfully. You would protect us? If you were truly our friends? Yes, Choi Daeho said. Humans are incredibly loyal to those we care about. We would fight and die to protect our allies. But how do we know you won't turn on us later? You don't, Ryu Seung-ho said honestly. Trust is always a risk. But consider this. We could have lied to you forever. We could have pretended to be peaceful while secretly studying your weaknesses. Instead, we told you the truth. Even knowing it might lead to war. Even knowing that. Elder Thaisara stood up and walked to the window. For a long time she stared out at her peaceful world. There is wisdom in what you say, she finally said. But there is also great risk. Everything worth doing involves risk, Jung Minji said. The question is whether the risk is worth the reward. And what would be the reward for trusting humanity? Dr. Bayek smiled. The same thing that made humans so dangerous. We don't just destroy threats, we solve problems. Give us a challenge, and we'll find a way to overcome it. Give us something to protect and nothing in the universe will be able to harm it. Elder Thaisara turned back to them. And if we choose not to trust you? The humans were quiet for a moment. Then Choi Daeho spoke. Then we go home. We forget we ever met you. And we hope that when you do meet the other dangerous species out there, you find a way to survive without us. You wouldn't attack us for rejecting you? No, Choi Daeho said firmly. We came here in peace. If you want us to leave in peace, we will. Even though you know all our secrets now? Even though you could conquer us easily? Even then. Elder. Thaisara's light grew very bright. Why? Because that's what friends do, Jung Minji said simply. Friends respect each other's choices. The ancient alien studied them for a long time. Finally, she nodded. I will give the council my recommendation, she said. 2 days later, the decision came. Elder Thaisara returned with the full council behind her. Veltara's colors were nervous, but Elder Thaisara's light was steady and calm. We have decided, Elder Thaisara announced. We choose trust. The humans let out breath they hadn't realized they were holding. But, Elder Thaisara continued, this trust comes with conditions. What conditions? Choi Daeho asked. You will help us prepare defenses for our worlds. You will teach us how to protect ourselves. And you will promise that if any species threatens the Confederation, you will help us fight. And in return we share our technology, our knowledge, and our friendship. We become true allies. Choi Daeho stood up and bowed deeply. We accept. 5 years later, the Kethavar Empire arrived without warning. Their black ships appeared around Synthesis Prime like a swarm of metal insects. They had come to conquer the peaceful Confederation, to take their technology and enslave their people. What they found instead was something they had not expected. Valthran shields powered by alien technology, but designed by human engineering. Defensive positions that looked like gardens but fought like fortresses, and directing it all, human tactical officers working alongside alien commanders. The first Kethvar attack wave met Moon Ji-soo, a human admiral who had studied every battle in human history. She used Velthron healing technology to keep her ships fighting long after they should have been destroyed. She used alien communication systems to coordinate attacks across multiple star systems simultaneously. The Kethvar had expected to fight peaceful aliens who would surrender quickly. Instead, they faced an enemy that combined alien technology with human ruthlessness. The war lasted exactly 17 days. On the first day, the Kethvar attacked. On the second day, the humans and aliens counterattacked. By the third day, the Kethvar realized they were not fighting the same species they had studied from afar. By the 10th day, the Kethvar Empire was in full retreat. By the 17th day, they surrendered unconditionally. The terms of surrender were dictated by Elder Thaisara, but written by human strategists. The Kethvar would never again threaten any peaceful species. They would help repair the damage they had caused, and they would remember what happened when someone threatened humanity's friends. Standing on the bridge of the joint human-Velthron flagship, Commander Veltara watched the last Kethvar ship jump to hyperspace. "I understand now," she said to Admiral Kim Sojin, the human fleet commander. "Understand what?" "Why you told us the truth about your nature," Veltara said. "You weren't warning us about what you might do to us. You were warning us about what you would do to anyone who tried to hurt us." Admiral Kim smiled. "Humans protect their friends, Commander. Always." Across the galaxy, other species took note of what had happened. The Velthron Confederation was no longer seen as easy prey. They were seen as the allies of humanity. And everyone knew what that meant. The peaceful aliens had found their guardians, and the guardians had found something worth protecting.